All right. This is ForceCenter Live,
Part 2.
part two. Thanks for everyone. Yeah, I mean, I'll take ownership of shutting the stream down. It wasn't intentional. It was
Are you
looking for
sure?
questions.
You,
Yeah,
you hit end stream? Jen thinks she did it. We've got an Agatha Christie murder mystery of who killed the stream.
Oh, that's possible too. I don't know. All I know is the big red end stream button is right next to the starred questions.
Ah,
I think in my mind I went this little wireless $2 mic went too far. That's what I think happened. So Jen, if you're out there, I know you're out there somewhere. I did it. I did
okay.
it.
I'll text Jen that Ken did it. I'm still in the other stream as well, so that we can be sure to get some of those other questions, particularly the super chats that people are kind enough to do. So maybe we can grab those.
Yes,
Jen?
that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Do that as we recover. Hey, F it. We'll do it live. This is what happens. Love it. Yeah. So you're going to pull those and read them, and then you all are going to, hang out as we. I didn't even finish my third Dragonberry yet, so that's not the problem. That's not the problem.
Yeah, so I hit show, and I'm the only one in this stream now, so I'm just looking at it by myself. But the question I pulled is a very kind super chat from the Cali Kid.
Yes.
And the Cali Kid says, what are your thoughts on the upcoming theatrical re-release of The Phantom Menace? Is a proud hashtag prequelist. It is amazing. This is happening. Ken, what are your thoughts on The Phantom Menace re-release?
I'm so excited, and we always make the joke that it's a Star Wars joke to see it again for the first time. This is one of my most watched Star Wars films. I really, truly mean it. It's become one of my favorites. And in 1999 was a journey we've documented a long time here. We didn't become prequelists overnight for various reasons, but and I didn't go to the 3D re-release. I want to go experience it, and I'm going to make an effort to go and be around fans and be around positivity and be around people dressed as Darth Maul and people dressed as Rick Ollier and I don't want people to shout things out of the screen, but if people were to be like yell out, the whole city, the whole planet's a city, like I think that would be great. I don't want exactly the Rocky Horror Picture Show version of it, but I would love that. Yeah, I would absolutely love that. I'm excited. I'm really excited. 25 years is a crazy amount of time.
Maybe I will try yelling out at the end of the line. Could only mean one thing: invasion with a whole group of people. That'd be great.
It'd be Dragonberry's dripping down my beard. Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. In some ways, it's like I shouldn't be surprised about it because it's the 25th anniversary and everything that Star Wars as a Lucasfilm as a company has been. Oh, we hear you. We can love the prequels openly and honestly, and promote them openly and honestly. So I think that I really want to try to see it at a prime time on an opening night for the most chance of seeing it with a large, enthusiastic audience.
Yeah, it's like I want to make a night like let's you, me, Grace, Sarah, friends. Let's go get a pizza. Let's go see it. I
would love that. Yeah.
Let's just use this live stream to make plans, right? One of the greatest moments of my Star Wars fandom was the first viewing of The Phantom Menace, and up to the long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. What came after is now well documented, but what was right before was pure, unadulterated joy for something that meant so much to me, and you can't relive it, but to tap back into it just for one night, that's worth it.
Yeah, I don't think I've mentioned this before on ForceCenter. Maybe I mentioned it offhand. One of my comedy albums that I really like, Flawfest, that I'm proud of. I have a bashing Phantom Menace joke in it, and I feel bad about it. Because it was where I was. It was partially where I was at, and it was like, I know this will land with the audiences I was performing with at the time, even though I enjoyed parts of Phantom Menace. But it was a bit about being too optimistic and being hard on myself for being too optimistic and talking about watching Phantom Menace over 25 times and but the movie will never change. And I got two different reactions. I got people laughing at it, and then I got people coming up to me afterwards going, you've really watched The Phantom Menace 25 times? Like, oh yeah. So I liked it enough to watch it 25 times. I was still making the jokes. But the point is, my joke was about the movie will never change. And like, yep, Lucas hasn't changed it since. So the actual movie won't change. But I have changed. And my relationship with the movie has changed. And my understanding of the movie has changed. And that just all by itself is a reason to go and celebrate Phantom Menace. And just remind yourself that you can change in time. And that will affect how you see things, how you see people. Things are not frozen in amber.
This is completely unrelated, but it's same energy. Go with me here, Joseph, on 2.5 Dragonberry drinks. I just on my show Anytime with Ken and Alden, we were talking about a lot of things today, as we often do. But the idea came up of the notion that I used to buy into when I was a youngster, a little younger, of if you're 18 and not a liberal, you don't have a heart. If you're 30 and you're not conservative, you don't have a brain. It's this idea that you get more conservatives as you get older, and that's not true. It's a lie. The truth of the situation is the world changes and then you don't change with it. So it seems as though you're becoming one thing, but really you're in this point of stasis. And I am someone who has changed as a Star Wars fan because I've changed as a person, and who I was in May of 1999 almost doesn't exist anymore. There's a lot of things that are the same, including my love of Dragonberry rum. But I want to experience this for the first time as who I am now, as a Star Wars fan I am now. And you and I and Jen talked about the other day of just like, I have friends and I want to be. They aren't the angry car guy YouTube guys. They aren't bad people. They're just people who don't live this like we do. And they're like, didn't we determine that sucked in 1999, right? Jury's in. Judge sealed the rendered the decision and pressed, boom, boom, boom. That sucked. And it's like, we did at that time for various reasons, most of them wrong. My 7-year-old cousin, who told me in the spring of 1999 that was my favorite Star Wars film and I really love Jar Jar, and I didn't have the ability to tell the 7-year-old, because I'm glad I didn't, that he was wrong, because I wanted to be like, I'm 23, you're a 7-year-old. He's now in his 30s, and his interaction with it is always going to be different, and I want to go along for that ride, and I think this is an opportunity to. That we didn't even have at the 20th. The 20th felt a little different.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I think there's so much other noise around it with a couple other things going on in 2019 Star Wars wise.
Sorry, they should also re-release Meet Joe Black. Re-release it 2 months before. Re-release it now and put the trailer in it.
That would be great.
Does that reference still? I don't. Now I'm sounding old. Hello, fellow kids. Yeah, I think that reference still travels, but that's one of my all-time favorite pop culture references.
Yeah, it is amazing. Absolutely amazing. All right. I'm still over in the other stream. Do you want me to grab another question over there?
You do that, and I will answer. 8984M says, "What's Meet Joe Black?" Whether you're being serious or not. It was the Brad Pitt, I think Claire Filani movie, but the trailer for Phantom Menace before it. And if you wanted to see the trailer, you had to buy a ticket to Meet Joe Black or find a way to sneak in, because the internet wasn't reliable enough to do it. You'd have a 4-hour download time for a 2-bit graphic version of it. So all of us went to find ways to get into Meet Joe Black, see the trailer, and get the hell out of there.
Yeah, when this was when I worked at Kinko's in downtown Minneapolis, the IDS Center, and my manager and everybody else there was a huge Star Wars fan for the most part. And like Kinko's internet was fast enough. So it was like my manager was downloading it, and then employees were allowed to step into his office to take turns watching it. And then the big boss of Kinko's visited and had like a long chat with the manager. And then when my manager came out, the Phantom Menace hadn't even come out yet. And my manager came out from meeting with the Kinko's big boss. And this guy said, "You some people gonna get fired?" Just off the line in the trailer.
Oh man! And then we all prepared for Y2K, and it was a fun summer.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyways, you got a question for those just joining us. Michael McCarsell just came in. He's like, "Oh, a second live stream." Somehow the first stream ended. I'm going to blame my mouse and my fingers for shutting the stream off accidentally, but we're here now. Joseph's pulling questions from the other stream.
Communication disruption can mean only one thing: Ken's drinking rum. This comes to us from, apologies for the probably incorrect pronunciation of last name, Pim Languager. Pim says, I fear for Omega's fate. Any ideas where she might end up responsibly? Do you have responsible speculation about where Omega ends up? Because, yeah, we're all tempted to be like, yep, it is going to be her blood that makes the chain of Palpatines possible, and Omega is Rey's grandma, and that means Boba Fett's her great uncle or whatever. Or she's going to actually grow up and, lose her memory and become a different character and blah, 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 But you have responsible speculation.
Yeah. There is, I want to shout out again our buddies Matty Gunner and Paul Denuzzo at the PLD Projects. They have their show Holy Snokes. I put it on when I play Madden a lot, and they had two things I really liked. One, there was this theory they put out there that of just like, hey, it almost kind of makes weird sad, and it's sad tragic sense that the only two survivors of the batch are Crosshair and Omega. That Wrecker might go, that Hunter might go, Gonky might go, that this might be what happens. And there's something about that I really liked. It's very sad. It's very, and it hurts so good type of thing. But then Paul also said on his another part of the show of like, let's not forget, and he wasn't hear him out on what he was saying. He was like, this is still at its heart kind of a kid's show, which doesn't mean it's a kiddie show and that they haven't gone into dark places and death. Tech being a primary example of that. The episode of Outpost is a film. I think it could be up. It could win a BAFTA if you released in England. Like it's good. But hearing Jen talk about her oldest daughter watching Bad Batch and literally predicting the lines of Omega reminded me that when we say it's a kids show, it is not a Zoink Zoinks kiddie show. It is from that perspective, and it's from Omega's perspective. And I wonder how dark it needs to get, how dark it should get, and therefore I do like the idea of them somehow, some way, and I think maybe Crosshair does go, but that they go on and find some sort of peace, and that there's more to the story. Live action Omega, who knows where they're going, but that they will find the peace that they seek, and that's where I see it going, and that's what I hope for Omega. Yeah.
I think that's such a great way to look at it, because I think that is another place where it's easy to get very canon focused. It's easy for me to have the Ahsoka syndrome of, great, whatever happens to her at the end of this story, where does she end up? How does she survive? Is she a part of the Resistance? Is she in one of those ships on Exegol? Right. All that stuff. But I think it is what I want to be concerned about right now is what is her fate at the end of this story. And I feel like Crosshair is going to go because I feel like Crosshair just wants to make it right and be done. I feel like he's just sort of like one of these people where the world has changed and I realize I should change, but I can't and I don't want to. So I'll do what I can and then I'm done. Is how I continue to feel emotionally about Crosshair. I'd be happy to be wrong. I do feel like they could break our hearts with Wrecker. So it's an ending where like Hunter has been so obsessed with, I cannot be a soldier if I just am a parent to Omega, if I'm an older brother, if I take care of her. So I can see like some kind of beautiful montage where it's just Hunter and Omega. They end up carving out some little peaceful place to hide out. And we have like a little montage of, maybe it's 10 years later, Omega's a full adult and Hunter's peacefully passing away, and he's done it. He has raised her. She is a fully fledged woman looking to the future, giving him a clone funeral, like a Viking funeral, whatever that is, of honor, saying goodbye to her last brother, her last father figure, and ready to face the galaxy herself.
I mean, regardless, we just got a lot of tears flowing at some point.
No matter what. I mean, the show is just so effective, and these characters are so loving. In any form, says the Rebels ending, basically. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Love that. No, love that. Look, this isn't the first time you've had a show or characters where you look at the path forward for them, and there's dark clouds ahead, and then there's a lot of thoughts of death are gone, and sometimes that's what happens. But we all in 2008 were like, well, this Ahsoka's gonna die, and it's not the way of it. It's not always the way of it. And, we joke too. Sometimes, anytime a new Jedi, a young Jedi shows up, right? Well, Kylo Ren's gonna slice them in two. It's not necessarily the foregone conclusion. So we'll see.
Yeah. I also just think that there's always room to tell more story of, I love the story of the path for the Jedi. I know a lot of people are hungry for that, and people have talked about that for the clones. And on a practical level, that seems like, does she go around the galaxy helping clones, as a sort of, as a fate for her,
Yeah. Love that. Well, you can keep pulling those questions, and I'll do a little song and dance until you pull one.
Okay.
I want to shout out our buddy Scotty J. Rowe. Check it in. Boyos, love you both very much. Thank you for the shout out this week. Scotty put out a wonderful 2-hour, just a college course lesson on the importance of midichlorians, what it means, what it meant to George, and then just so happens that M Count shows up again this week, and he had been working on that thing for months. So check it out over on the Bombad podcast. It's wonderful, and I'm with Scotty, and I know Joseph, you're with us too. Just that M Count makes sense, but I can't wait for midichlorians to actually be said again in Star Wars.
Say it, say midichlorians. We got this one from GGB, who gave us a kind super chat as well, and says, what do you think about Dr. Hemlock mentioning his endless supply of Imperial resources to find Omega? Why not send Inquisitors after her? Maybe he will eventually. I think for me, my thoughts on that are kind of like we were talking before of like, I feel like Palpatine is like, the Empire is really getting up and running, and he's dividing his different minions for different tasks. And I think the Inquisitors are like, they're for Jedi. They aren't general bounty hunters necessarily. And I think for me, the Empire saying you have the full resources of the Empire is like, I think it means it literally, of this project is so important to me. You can you create bullshit invoices, make up PO numbers, and I'll rubber stamp them. Don't worry about it. On a real practical level of he can order anything, he can command anything. He's not going to be yelled at for overspending anything. But I also think it's like a measure of this sort of rat race between different Imperials. Like we saw Hemlock at that meeting that Tech, tragically perished at with Tarkin. That whole council was kind of like, how are the big picture plans? We're going to check in on the Death Star. We're going to check in on the possibility of clone rebellion. We're going to check in on your science stuff, Hemlock. So I also think it's like a kind of like, you're winning the rat race. Your project is actually the most important to me, Hemlock. Krennic's flubbing his dub over there with those Geonosians. You're my guy. Unlimited spending card, unlimited corporate spending card for the Empire.
You got the thick stock credit card there. You got the James Bond credit card. Yeah. There's I'm just going with my gut reaction of the final moments. I had like, Hemlock knows they've got to in that moment let them go. He's got fear. He's got a little bit of daddy's not going to be happy, but I think he also had a weird, evil, quiet confidence that this is our galaxy anyway. We'll find them. We'll find them. This is what we got to do. And as far as Inquisitors, I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there. You could send Vader. You could send the Inquisitors. There's a lot of names. I still think that mysterious character that we can talk about. I still think Tech 2.0 is possible. I'm not saying that's my entire bet. That if they're on the run, who should you send after them? Someone who might know where they go and how they'd run. That's what I'd do. That's who I'd send.
Yeah, and so I'm curious to see when Fennec and Cad Bane comes into it, because if they know, if knowledge stays, anyway, I'm with you. I think they know where they're going to try to hide, and he's like, I know where they're going to try to hide, and the right people to pay, and there's no object. So that's my general thought.
Which is why I love that we got Fennec and Cad coming in and some underworld angles.
Yeah, absolutely. We got another kind super chat from our pal Ken Plume, which says, "Cheers, use, and here's to a speedy Jedi beat season 2, indeed." And let's see, Ken, this is an other center question. This is a life advice question, and it's a little bit heavy. Are you okay pivoting?
Yeah, let me take a sip of my Dragonberry Sprite.
Oh, I'll read it just as you're sipping in case we can get that action happening. This comes from Dr. Wargod, who says, I am a man who is very anxious with women I like because of extensive childhood trauma. What should I do? So
Yeah.
obviously there's a lot within the context of that. We don't know, and we don't necessarily,
Yeah.
I'll speak. We're not licensed therapists, but
no. Seek one though. In general, all of you. I know this question to my core. I know this question to my core. And a lot of it was having to untangle fears that have been placed in my life. I don't know specifically what this trauma is, but for me, it was a lot of the upbringing, a lot of you meet one, you impregnate them, and you are done. You're locked in. And that put a lot of pressure on who I was meeting and what I was doing. A lot of that, and just also not knowing myself. I think a lot of it was looking in the mirror and not believing that no matter who you're out there trying to pursue, that looking in the mirror and thinking, well, this person isn't worthy of any attention was very much what it is. There was always a feeling around me that a woman would uncover the truth about me, and that truth being a pretty horrible, pretty not worthy of this. That's something my dad dealt with too. My mom was kind of it. Like, he didn't have girlfriends, he didn't date. He went to the Navy. My mom was the first across the board for everything, and that was I'm not in that spot anymore. But I was such a late bloomer, not just in terms of dating life, but just who I was and knowing myself. And so that was it. And there was a story I tell often. I used to go to Chili's every week. Chili's in Northridge. Great Chili's, by the way. And we go in the bar, and there was a rotation of girls as our bartenders and waiters, and we liked them all. Me and my two friends went, and they were normal dudes chatting, doing the thing, and I got some issues with how they were chatting nowadays, but I couldn't even order food by looking them in the eye. And my friends used to make fun of me. They used to make absolute fun, and I get sweaty, I get hot, kind of like when I accidentally shut off a stream, and I was embarrassed to be me. I was embarrassed to be me, and they didn't help. I couldn't even order a Chili's quesadilla chicken Diablo blow out at your butt meal. Like I couldn't even do it. I couldn't even look her in the eyes because I just was so nervous that and it's all me. Also, there was an air of, and this is my specific journey during that time of my life. There was an air of women are targets to be conquested that I didn't align with, and I had trouble around that, and that was fed to me a lot too. That it doesn't matter their name. It's a conquest to have, a victory to notch, and that made it. That wasn't me, and so I felt I couldn't play that game, and so I shrunk back from that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I like Chili's.
I happily go to Chili's with you, and we can practice making eye contact with servers of any gender.
But you've been at a restaurant with me. I'm the let's small chat till you get annoyed with me guy with the cabbies.
You're
and
fine.
Stuff.
Yeah. You got no problem chit chatting these days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm certainly not an expert on modern dating world by any means. About 10 years ago, I wanted to write a show about a stand-up comedy show about dating, and I joined it. I told Sarah, my wife, and I was like, I'm going to join a bunch of dating sites, and just to kind of see what they're like. I'm not going to respond to anything. And I learned nothing. I joined one, and I put in I'm just looking for women to be friends with, and it immediately said, here are several gay men in your area. Like, I got, that's not what I was asking for. Thank you. Maybe you think I was anyway.
Yeah.
I think I definitely had specific personal issues of the way I was raised. My parents got married extremely young. They got married when they were 18, so they were not a great advice on many things
Yeah.
in life. So I think I got a lot of my advice about dating from the culture at the time. And it's I've been thinking about it a lot because I've been on and off
Yeah.
rewatching Cheers, which I think is an excellent, amazing sitcom, but it's also a product of its time.
Yeah.
And it has an assumed structure of society, which you and I were surrounded by a lot, and I think probably still exists in some ways today, about men who date lots of women and men who date women who are stereotypically attractive are correct and normal in doing things right. Sam is correct and normal in doing things right, and Norm and Cliff are broken weirdos.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was so much fear baked into a relationship. So when I would get to know someone, I would truly know them and want to know them and truly see them, but I had just this sort of flop sweat in my soul because I gave away my value in myself because I absorbed all those lessons and didn't question them. And I had a sort of like, I like myself, but the whole world will perceive me as useless unless you, external person, validate me by wanting to date me. And that made some things, just like uncomfortable because I probably missed out on dating some people who saw me and liked me, but I was chasing after something else. So I think for me, when it comes to advice, is just being aware of whatever various gender and dating dynamics you've been exposed to, and question, are they accurate? Do they help you? Do they truly make you feel good? Do they make you feel seen and valued and loved? And I think the other thing for me in terms of trying to handle it is I think it's just for anyone. It's dating, going on lots of dates can be just like a drag and can start to feel goal oriented of like, I am trying to find a partner. Like, I'm trying to find, a good deal on a car. I'm trying to find a partner. And I think just trying to remember it is a human interaction, and you are trying to find someone who sees you. You don't have to change yourself. Do you feel comfortable with that person? That's a good relationship. I dated many people for very short periods of time. I had one long-term relationship before Sarah. That woman and I are very good friends. But when I met Sarah, it was so easy. There was no needing to be someone different than I was. And that's how I knew it was good. So it's a human interaction. You're looking for someone. It's not a goal. It's a human interaction.
Yeah.
If you feel comfortable, that's the person to be with.
Yeah, it's not a check on the box, right? Yeah. Sometimes, I got friends who are alone and don't want to be for good reasons. I got friends who are alone and want to be for good reasons. You know? Yeah. And they know themselves. They know what they need. They know what they want. Yeah. It took me a while.
Yeah.
Took me a while. Yeah. I don't miss those days.
Nope. All right. So I think we got there's still some questions over here, but I also don't want to ignore the questions that we've got in our new space. So Ken, do you want to grab any from here?
Yeah. Pull some in here. All right, we're gonna. We got real deep here. So I'm gonna pull 3 in one's a comment. Our buddy Adam Knight says, no question, but just appreciation, by the way, for 007 Center, the Bad Batch recap, Jedi Beat. I've had very Force Center heavy week, not a complaint. I love it. Yeah, and shout out, thank you, Adam. Shout out to you for that. But 007 Center is up and running. If you're on the Patreon page, you can check out our over 2.5 hour discussion and review of Daniel the Daniel Craig-led Casino Royale. We've launched 007 Center. We're going to look at all the Daniel Craig bonds and then see where we go from there. It's also available to purchase at the patreon.com/ForceCenter shop. If you don't want to support or can't support or on a monthly basis, whatever, you can check it out there. I'm really proud of it, and real proud of where we took a lot of the discussion too. What that movie is dealing with in terms of what a man feels he has to be and how destructive that can be and the realities around it. It's very much on display in the Daniel Craig movie led movie Casino Royale. It's dealing with toxic masculinity, masculinity in general. It's not subtext, it's text. So I'm very proud of that. So thank you, Adam.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And then JC, I just want to go. Old man yells at Cloud so hard he broke the stream. Yeah, no, that may be what happened. Ken Bloom asks, how close to unlocking new ForceCenter Phantom Menace commentary? I got to say, I'm on his side here. I think we should redo Phantom Menace. I know we already did it, but we had Joseph explain what's going on the Patreon page for those who want to help us reach this goal.
Yeah, so Patreon doesn't have goals as an actual function of the site like they used to, but I still think it is an effective way for us to strive for specific things. And Patreon has this new structure where there can be free members and there can be paid members, and we get a little count of where we're at. And we are trying to get to 400 paid members. So that could be $2, doesn't matter. 400 paid members, at which we're going to do a new Star Wars commentary, and we're going to ask the patrons to vote on which Star Wars film we should do. Currently, we are at 397 paid members of our Patreon. So we are very, very close to that goal. Right there. We're really trying to make sure that the Patreon has value. That's part of the reason that the 007 Center is it's either you get it totally free if you're a Patreon member, or it's available a la carte, like Ken said. And we do the Will of the Force, and we have the Discord. So we're really trying to make sure that it has value.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. And we're going to put it to vote, like you were saying, Joseph, for the commentary. We have done Phantom Menace, we've done New Hope, we've done Last Jedi. They're on the YouTube page. We did them a long time ago before we just kind of had a YouTube page because it existed and why not put stuff up. But now that we're active on here, there. But yeah, I'm just curious, 25 years on, revisiting Phantom, even though we did the review like 5 years ago or so. I have so many new thoughts about that film. But anyways, it's up there. It's up about. And then final one, Joseph. I know you got probably a great question waiting, but I think I do need to answer this one. Extra Cheddar asks perhaps the most important question of all time. How has the Lady Gaga Fortnite been going, Ken?
Is she available as a player?
She is now available as of yesterday. And as I
will
show
what outfit?
Here, I'll show you now on the screen there. So that is me and Ken Plume's character. There you go. There's the autofocus. Nice. My first match out, we got a crown win. She's in the Chromatica Ball armor.
Well, there you go. That'll win it. That'll win it for you. No problem.
I'm absolutely loving it.
Is there Gaga music going on while you're? Do you get to listen to Alejandro while you're?
No, there's like 3 songs. There's Bad Romance, Born This Way. There's another song I can't remember. But Fortnite they want to dominate all aspects of video games. So they've acquired like rocket racing. There's like a car race version, and they have like a rock band version. So we did get to play. I got to play along to Bad Romance badly. So there's that part of the game, but then you get to take her into the battle royale thing. So that's and what's great, they have this little detail. She's running around, her heels are clanking no matter where you are. And I was dying laughing the whole gang of dick 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 dick. So
it looks like a wild Molly Damon might appear in Fortnite now. Okay, Gaga on Fortnite might be the only thing that could get me to play.
Yeah, let's do it, Molly. Come on, let's join the squad. Join the squad.
We've been talking about our attempts to grow and mature. There's been a deep and thorough conversation about Han and Leia's marriage ending and the trauma of losing a child. So thank you, everybody. For the good chat in the chat.
I have the question. You have one. We can go to the question that was asked. We got this question here. The Dong Mei Hor, which I feel like I've said some sort of Baba Booey type of name there. I've been challenged with something. How do you guys deal with Han leaving Leia and Ben, but then him coming back in the sequels? It's a bit tough thinking about him in a positive light, though he says, personally for me, I still love him, but it's a bit of a struggle. Where I'll start with that is I think that's... I think it's okay, and I'm not. This isn't a debate with you. I think it's okay that there's a struggle. I think that should be something that you ask about Han and what happened. So I'll start before I pitch it to you, Joseph. Like this, it's actually, to my surprise, was one of my favorite things about The Force Awakens, and even this is back in 2015 when I was thinking on it. It's like Han and Leia, for me, were one of the great love stories. Right? It's like Harry and Sally. And Han and Leia. That's what I grew up with. All right. and to have the realization that the movie pops up and they're separated, and it's this tragedy that breaks them apart, which is very real. And I think some people in the chat are pointing that out of hey, that trauma can break up couples and constrain you, and just the big idea of, because of the trauma, Han and Leia retreated to what they do best, which is clearly stated. But Han being, it's part of Han's journey. It's part of why we're even here at Force Center. Was hearing you discuss and break down Han's final act was going forward and committing to something, which was trying to get his son back, as asked by Leia. That being one of his final acts. We now have the hand touch to the cheek that saved the galaxy. So for Han, this idea, Han has always been at war with himself. Han in New Hope is not a bad guy. And I think that's sometimes missed. He is a good guy. And Kira sees that. My favorite moment in that Kira book that came out, was it Most Wanted, that came out before the film, was this moment in which she sees Han as who he is, and he's a good guy, and he's at war with himself. And in that particular moment, Han is good not because of some heroic action, because he treated Kira as a human, as a person. He did not see her as a woman to conquest. He did not see her as a piece in the White Worms. He saw her as who she was. And she says, this guy is good. That's how she knows she's good, not because he has to go with a blaster and he wants to save the day. And so Han's at war with that. And he's at war with that. And then when he retreats to that, I've got to go be a scoundrel. I got to be, me and Chewie got to fire up the Winnebago and head out again. It's very real to me, and I think I needed Star Wars to at that point. I think they delivered on the reality of it there. So, but it should be a struggle. It's not a happy ending, right? From Return of the Jedi to that.
No, I mean, I think I what I love about the character of Han, and I think has been very consistent, is that there's this part of him who just like deeply loves people and wants to connect with people, but he's just got all these life experiences that say, keep your guard up, keep your guard up, keep your guard up. I think it's so significant in A New Hope. He's not just like, got my money, sucker, bye. He tries to get Luke to come over to him. He's like, why don't you come with us? You're pretty good in a fight. And that isn't mercenary Han. That is, I really like this kid, and I'd like him kicking around the Falcon. And I think that's, it tracks all the way through everything in the Solo film to that great choice in Force Awakens, where that is, do something bonkers with the Falcon, defy death, no problem. Haul Rathars, those things aren't frightening to Han.
Yeah.
Trying to be 1000% vulnerable to the son he lost is his great challenge, and he faces it amazingly. I think for me, for my Force Awakens, I think it might have been on an old Jedi Alliance show where you said,
I called in.
Oh no, I'm talking about even earlier when you were still hosting, and Force Awakens hasn't come out yet, and I was just a guest, and you were like, well, everybody knows Han and Leia are going to be broken up, and I hadn't thought about it yet, and I was like, oh no, they are. And when that thought occurred, it didn't occur to me when you shared that other people were thinking that, and I was like, ooh, yeah, I got kind of bummed out about it. So I had been so bummed out about it by the time I saw the film. It felt bittersweet because I don't know the actual canon story, or if we'll ever get it, of Luke flies back in and gives him the news of he's gone, and from Luke's perspective, he killed everybody and he's gone. And what exactly happens with Han and Leia? At the same time, Leia is already worried about the First Order changing her life entirely, has gone through this vulnerable thing of being exposed as the daughter of Vader. She's starting the Resistance. And I imagine that there's already this tension of like Han going like, you're gearing up for another war.
Yeah,
that's where we're at. But the dialogue in Force Awakens makes it feel more like not some like loud drag out fight or Han storming out and saying I'm leaving you, but them just kind of both looking at each other and going, this isn't going to work anymore, is it? Nope. And that beautiful line about I went back to the only thing I was good at, and Leia says we both did. Yeah. So much wasn't about like our marriage didn't work. It was like we're not going to help each other right now. Cope with this.
Yeah.
Han, do your thing, run away, make money. I'm going to put all my focus in this Resistance it's such a great thing for Leia's character too, who has always struggled with I've been raised to serve and be of service, and then I have to struggle to make room for myself. And here's the opposite, where she's like, it's painful for me to deal with my actual personal stuff, so I can just dive into serving and building the resistance. So I don't know if it's accurate, but it always felt a little bit more mutual than just Han walking out on Leia to me. I could be wrong, but that's the way it felt to me.
I agree with that, and maybe it comes down to technicality if he packed his satchel first or something like that. But I really like that they're they're somewhat combustible, and I'm choosing that word. Maybe I want to be careful with that word. I don't think they were a fighting couple, but they're combustible in the sense of they're bored out of passion. The stuff you see at Empire Strikes Back, the Bogey and Bacall type of energy, like I could see that. And then Han, the reality of it. I think Last Shot has some great stuff of him stepping on space Legos and wondering who he is, but that's real. That's very real. You and I haven't experienced that, but I know a lot of parents, a lot of friends of mine. One of my friends once looked me in the eyes and says it changes everything about your life. And if you have someone tell you it doesn't, they're doing this wrong. And I like what you're saying. I can buy into that and believe that as like headcanon of it wasn't a scream, it wasn't a fight, it wasn't a throwing of Corellian wine. It was this is it, huh? And I kind of think that makes sense.
Yeah. And Isgaz Nightham here says, after Ben turned, every time Han and Leia looked at each other, they each reminded each other of their son.
And I don't want to get too real with it, but I think we all have examples in our own lives. I've seen that tragedies happen and the couples can't stay together for various reasons. I think a lot of us know. I've lived that,
I was so happy in Force Awakens to see the love that they were wounded, but they were
hug means
still
everything.
together, and they still loved each other, right? And Anyway, let that one go. We could talk about that forever. Great stuff.
Good question. Good discussion in the chat as always.
Yeah. Do you got?
How we doing over there? Yeah, you doing? Have we emptied the storage over there?
There are a few more. I'm going through them here to see which ones we should grab if they're not too close to something we've already talked about. But if you have one ready to go, fire away.
Sure, I'll get some comments here. Ethan, thank you for the super chat. One of the best things to come out of the strikes is Other Center. Thank you all for being so open, willing to share. I've been inspired many times. Thank you. We appreciate that. We knew going into Other Center it wasn't going to be as listened to as the other stuff, but that's not what we're about. And I think beyond just talking about Star Wars, we're real people, man, and we really love the reactions a lot of you have had to that. So there you go. This one we got a Doctor Who one for you. I'll hold that.
Okay.
That here. We got this one about music in Star Wars. Joseph, Bill Rudd.
Yeah, go for it.
1138 super chat. Loving the amount of ForceCenter in my feed lately. Thank you. We love that you love it. Today's sit stand subjective wars has me wondering who's your favorite band in Star Wars? The Modal Nodes, Max Rebo, and maybe even Star Waver. That's a great question because Star Waver, my answer is Star Waver, but as it's non-canon, it's canon adjacent. So, my mind, I think they exist somewhere.
Well, my favorite individual musical performer is of course, Vat Weirdo, Lilo Primarch, the upside down frog crooner in a vat. Come on. How can you beat him with his deep, dulcet tones? This is also fun because, should we spoil the topic of next week's Subjective Wars?
Yeah, we should. Tease it.
Yeah, so next week's Subjective Wars, the last one where Alex and Molly are still joining us as guests, is a discussion, a horrible choice between Chalmun's Cantina and Garsa Fwip's Sanctuary. And that quickly devolved into a battle of the bands as well.
It really did. It really did.
Because how could it not? Anyway, it's so hard. I love that astromech drummer. That's not even a part of the question that we were just asked. It's weird. Modal nodes, Max Rebo. Just the modal nodes are so hard not to say yes, but it sometimes feels like that. Like, when you get those questions, Ken, and you just want to answer something more different.
Yeah.
But sometimes the answer is like, vanilla ice cream's real good. I know it's literally, a metaphor for things being basic, but it's real good. So sometimes the vanilla ice cream is the answer to me. The most obvious answer sometimes is like, Obi-Wan Kenobi is my favorite Star Wars character, but some days it'd be like Luke Skywalker, and I almost feel like wah wah wah, boring answer. Like, well, too bad. It's
Yeah, you want to be like, what's your favorite band? Mine's the Beatles, but I want to answer on some days. Well, it's really the replacement. It's the Beatles. Yeah. No, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, so I love I love the weirdness of the modal nodes. I love the Bith design, and I love that it's space jazz. And I didn't know that detail until Jennifer's Jedi Beat that they actually did play Sing Sing Sing, triumphant drum part by Gene Krupa, and just knowing that, I didn't know that was space jazz when I was a child, based on real Earth jazz, and I didn't know I would later become a fan of Benny Goodman music, because like, hey, this kind of sounds like the modal notes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I also loved. I want to choose the modal nodes just based off of the information Jen went into on that Jedi Beat of that they couldn't breathe when they were playing. That the mask didn't allow for proper human breathing. So I want to give them the leg up on that.
Yeah, but just bonkers. But Max Rebo, I mean, come on, and the great debate of his limbs.
Yeah,
hard to beat too.
There you go. Great stuff. I'm sorry, I'm leaning back. It's late in the stream, which I'm not ready to go, but the back's starting to cry.
Oh, okay.
So I apologize if I'm way distant in my studio.
No problem. I do got another one over here.
Hit me.
This comes to us from Andrew McNabb. Hello, Andrew, if you're still with us. Andrew says, how do you see Crosshair's brotherly reunion going? Sit down, hash it out, my dinner with Grumpy, or Wrecker just bear hugging him straight away?
That's kind of the answer to me is, Omega's going to, I think we can see where Omega's going to be, but it's Hunter's going to be dubious, hard, tough love. Wrecker's going to be the first to break. He's going to be like, have some Mantel mix and let's hug and let's do this. And I love that, who knows? It hasn't happened yet, but Crosshair is going to be, he's changing. But when he sees them, he's still going to be I can't say I'm sorry, I want to, I don't know how, I don't belong here. And Hunter might initially be like, you're right, but Wrecker's going to be like, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. And we'll work out the rest later. Sit down. We love you. We're brothers.
I think it's going to be grumpy nods of acknowledgement between Hunter and Crosshair, like that kind of thing, and then I think Omega is going to be like, "Come on, he's back, he's with us, he's our brother again," and Wrecker's going to be like, "Okay," in the end, just spine crushing hug.
Yeah, and Omega's got the evidence, right? She if you need actions as proof, she's got it, but it's not going to, again, in this scenario that you and I are pitching, but I think Wrecker's the one to be all love.
This is not a question, it's a comment, but I'm getting into my whiskey and I just want to have this conversation. Amaranth says, Ken, time for some cat-cow yoga poses. My wife says the words cat-cow to me almost every day. I don't have the true back problems that Ken does, but all of my stress lives in my upper back, and the last couple of weeks have been stressful, so I have metal where there should be organic moving parts. And today, my wife said, hey, when you're done with the stream, you should do some cat-cow. So, Ken, do you do cat-cow yoga poses, and do they help?
Yoga bores the hell out of me.
You don't even have to listen to anything. You don't have to do it. It's one specific exercise. It's one specific exercise.
Do it. Stretching is wonderful. Stretching is. I've been I go to a chiropractor. It is stretchy. I go to chiropractor, go to acupuncturist, but I like to move the metal. I like to push the iron around. I like to lift weights. That's how I relax. And I can't right now. I've just slowly gotten back to it. So Amaranth is not wrong. I'm not. This is not me fighting you. This is me saying I am choosing what's wrong. I do try to stretch. I'm trying to get better, but also my injury isn't. My injury is a fracture in my vertebrae that never healed from pro wrestling. So. Amount of stretching can't fix it, and surgery, according to the doctors, say that it won't fix it either. But stretching does help. So I'm gonna try. How about this? I'm gonna look up how to do it because Grace does yoga all the time. She does Pilates and yoga. She's a Reiki master. She's always like, "You're decrepit, stretch." So I've got to at some point do it.
Cat cow's real gentle. You can go at your own pace, and it's just about opening up the back muscles a little bit. At least that's the way I do it.
I think it's I definitely think you're all right. This isn't like you're wrong, I'm right. I think you're all right.
But it's good. It's good. All right, moving on. Moving on. I didn't mean to hit this, but I'll read it anyway. JC, Crosshair will try to kiss, drop her off, and drive off. Record go, where you going? Get over here, brother, and then squeeze with the hug. Yeah. A lot
That's
of hugging.
the scene I want to see.
Yeah. Going back to our music topic, we talk about the Traveling Wilburys kind of a lot for a Star Wars podcast.
As we should.
So Jack Collis says, Star Wars Traveling Wilburys. Astromech R Unit drummer. Yes. Max Rebo. Yes. Figuring Dan. Yes. Hut guitarist Geezer from Star Waver. Yes. Lilo Primoc. Oh, yes. I can't find any fault with this.
This is a what? Ding 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 ding. I love it. Wilburys are everything to me, and that's a great lineup.
All right, what else you got, Ken?
All right, I'm putting you on the spot. All right, you're stretching. Fine. Jared asks, "What Doctor Who would make the best Jedi?"
Well, I mean, I think the Doctor in all incarnations is Jedi-like in that the Doctor is always striving to do the right thing, striving to lead with kindness and connection and empathy, and preaches nonviolence and uses violence usually only as a last resort, and it's often a storytelling point when the Doctor does use violence. But I'll make it quick for the Doctor Who fans. My mind goes to the Fifth Doctor because the Fifth Doctor, Ken, the general history of classic Doctor Who.
I know the Fifth Doctor.
You know the Fifth Doctor?
Yorkshire Peppermill. I know him.
So the Doctor's generally a little bit of an older man, and he gets younger for the first time. Fifth Doctor, Peter Davison, but he's traveling with like 3 teenagers. So he reminds me of you, Ken, a little bit, because he's just like a he's just like an uncle trying to take 3 kids on a van trip across all of time and space. He's not worried about his own stuff. He's just like, there's like even stretches where it's like he's just trying to take them somewhere pretty because there's been a bunch of like horror and violence. He's just like, I'm tired and I'm just trying to do the right thing.
It's like me on a live stream with Alden. I got it.
Yeah. So my answer is the Fifth Doctor. That is my quick arbitrary answer to not turn this entirely into Who Center.
People are starting to call for Who Center. You're gonna be careful. You'll need to find a co-host that's seen all the Doctor Who's. But
I mean, we'll see how Bond Center goes. But there are discrete parts of Doctor Who that we could watch. So
yeah, absolutely. And again, I've always said, it's not that I don't think Doctor Who has value, or I just never watched it. So.
It's a daunting thing to start. You got to figure out where to start and all that.
I got in this big live stream debate with my audience on my own channel this Wednesday, or the last 2 Wednesdays, over Star Trek, where someone dared me to say something nice about Star Trek, and I had a ton of nice things to say about Star Trek. But now I'm getting challenged to watch all of Deep Space Nine, and I'm like, I just can't do it.
You know what, Ken?
Long. It's too much.
You say that now. You would really enjoy Deep Space Nine. You would. This is one of those things where you're gonna go from like Deep Space Nine, and then you watch it and you're like, it's Cisco did an episode blah blah blah. Like, I think it's that same kind of thing where like you've talked about, like you don't think you like fantasy, and then you find something that resonates with you, like Game of Thrones, and you're all in.
Right.
And Deep Space Nine is a big commitment, but you would like Deep Space Nine. Doctor Who, I'm like, I don't know. I think you'd enjoy parts of it, but I don't know if you would fall in love with it. I think you would fall in love with Deep Space Nine. Yeah,
Jared was the one. Jared and this will shock you, Plume, are the ones who are harassing me about Deep Space Nine. So,
yeah.
Anyways, great answer. And more people calling for Who Center.
Who Center, and great observations that, of course, Tom Baker as the Bendu is a form of Jedi. A fascinating debate, but yes, Tom Baker was fascinating as the Bendu.
The Bendu is a great character. Great character.
All right, you got more?
I do. Oh, here we go. Salad Von Bako, thank you for the super chat. We really appreciate it. Joseph, will the Nightmare Adorable ever be released in a place that I will be able to watch it? I've been able to attend any shows you have so far. I live in the Bay Area in California. This Sunday, we'll be watching it and then getting hopefully a tasty lunch afterwards, I hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, take it away. Where can they?
Yeah. So for anybody who might not be familiar, the sort of weird world of the short film festival circuit, the film festivals don't want the short to be publicly available because they want to be able to advertise that they have this many premieres in their area. So basically, a film kind of needs to finish its run, and then you can put it on YouTube and Vimeo for as many people to see as possible. So where I'm at is with Nightmare Adorable, I applied to about 80 film festivals, and I still have about 35 to go. I drew the cutoff for about a year, so I didn't apply to anything that is playing in October of this coming year. So I'm going to release Nightmare Adorable online October of this coming year, and I'll make lots and lots of noise about it. And in the interim, I hope to keep getting into festivals, and I'll really advertise here on ForceCenter if it's if I get into a festival, and hopefully there'll be one in the Bay Area. Can't remember right now. I think I've applied to ones in the Bay Area. But if you're in the Los Angeles area, we got into a festival here. It's playing this Sunday, February 25th at 2 p.m. at Regal Cinema at LA Live. Ken's going to be there. To the other great stars, Amy Vorpal and Hal Lublin will be there as well. It's so fun to be able to see it on a big screen and with audiences and hear reactions.
It is indeed. It's a lot of fun. Can't wait. I'm going to bring some red vines. All right, that one was that. We got this one real quick here, and if you want to find one after that, we got, hey, ForceCenter fam, Jonathan Steelflex is here. Checking in between homework. Get your homework done, all right? And then become a writer, and your life is nothing but homework. I have homework tonight. My girlfriend got us tickets for Disney World, and I have to ask, what is the one thing everyone must do at Galaxy's Edge? All right. Yeah. First thing, the mistake I made, don't go on a rainy day. That's harder in Disney World, but in Anaheim I went and it was a torrential downpour. It kind of soured a little bit, but I had a lot of fun. I mean, the one thing I think you must do is slow down and take it in. That's not the answer you may be looking for. I'll come up with another answer. But I really think upon entering it, do not underestimate the emotional smack to the heart that it's going to do.
Yeah. The question is one thing, which is a real challenge. So I'm going to defy it. Research, depending on if you're in Disneyland or Disney World, research the various entrances, because there are better entrances, at least in Disneyland, where you can really transition into the park and you come across the Falcon.
That's true.
And I think seeing the Falcon, taking time to take it in for yourself, and then going into selfie mode, that's pretty high up there for my one thing. The other would be, even if you have to wait a long time to go on Rise of the Resistance, it is really special. Just the scale. And the lines are still, I think, kind of long, but I do think that they are effective mood building. Like the first time my wife and I went on Rise of the Resistance, we did, which I can't even remember all of Disney's various I don't know. I paid 800 Chapek bucks or whatever the hell it was called then to just go straight in. And it was great because otherwise we might not have got in. But then late at night, there were fireworks and everybody was watching the fireworks. And my wife was like, we have to go back to Rise of the Resistance because the wait was only a half an hour. And going through the line, particularly if you've read the Black Spire book, and the work and the sweat and the horror that went into carving out that base, you're walking through that passion. The line is not that bad.
Mm-hmm. The line is it's great. Yeah, you're saying great things. In terms of just, I'm trying to come up with an answer that's just one. I want to make sure I don't accidentally set off the stream again. Like I don't know. Yeah, for me, I'd say getting into the Falcon. It's not the greatest of rides. Rise of the Resistance is wonderful, and it, like again, you're gonna experience all of it. But if someone was to right now, like, hey, we got an hour, I want to get in that Falcon again because it's not even so much the ride; it's the experience, it's the view, it's the walking into it. It's something we've all lived with, and many generations of Star Wars fans have lived with, and it lives up to the hype.
Yeah, the actual ride I think is really fun, but I think it's that problem that, at least to me, like being in Han seat is the best. I've been on that ride
Yeah.
4 or 5 times until I was able to get in Han seat and punch it, and that was everything to me.
Yeah, I got lucky. I was in Chewie's seat. Grace was in Han's seat, but we both got to punch it and head dive. Yeah, and then the being an engineer the first time and only time, I think there's a little disappointment there if that was the case.
Yeah, the engineer is like the blaster one. Hey, the gunner, you get to fire. Cali Kid says you can purchase the lightning lane pass to Rise of Resistance, not the Chapek bucks. Lightning lane. And Amaranth is kindly reminding us of I think things we talked about before. To go there, the creature guide that I talked about, so you can enjoy the walks. I think it's Binta's guide. It's yeah, it's really fun. It tells you how to look for different things, different animals, and that. And Amaranth also says, and reserve a spot at Oga's or get on the wait list. Oga's is, I really really love Oga's. The cantina and the DJ, the quality of the music. Just the vibe. There's some little shows and traditions in there, not like full-on shows, but little things. Yeah, great.
Right. Yeah, no, all good. All good. You're making me want to go. I haven't been since 2020.
Yeah, it's changed a bit. It's changed. Yeah.
It has, yeah. It has. Cool. All right, a few more here. How are we doing? We're good? Yes, good. Got that.
Yeah.
Cleared on this end. There's some more questions coming in here.
Yeah, I got one more over here. Are you good for that, or you got one ready to go?
Hit me.
This came in right when we started. This is from Gaz Nottingham, who said, who hired IG-11 to kill Grogu? Is seen in the first episode. IG-11 was instructed to terminate Grogu. This suggests that neither Gideon or the client hired him, despite having hired most of the guild. Gas follows up in chapter 23 of The Mandalorian. We meet the Shadow Council. Perhaps one of them or Thrawn knew about Gideon's plan and tried to sabotage it. Ooh. Perhaps season 4 will address. Yeah, I think that there's a possibility that there's a larger story, but the way that I took it, and I could be entirely wrong, was that Pershing was the one who was really pushing for, we need him alive, because I believe the client says whatever. So I think the client was of the viewpoint, and the client seems kind of egotistical.
Yeah,
and sure of his opinions there. I think evil Werner Herzog truly believed we don't need it alive to extract what is valuable about it to Moff Gideon. And Pershing really thought they did. So I think that was the way I took it, is the client put out alive or dead, either way. Maybe I like the idea that maybe Grogu escaped a lot.
Yeah.
Is it like that guy's wiggly, so just it's fine. Just take it out.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Think about it there. I think I've always traced it back to the client in my mind. That was part of what was going on, and part of the first example of Mandalorian going, I don't know if I like what's going on around me here. So that's where I kind of took it there. But I if it ends up meaning something more, or you find out, you have fun with the backstory, and you can work back to something there, I'd be open to something bigger and wider.
Yeah, that'd be fascinating. Jumping back here for just a minute to our Disney conversation, Amaranth follows up with, I had never been there before, but I put on my big girl panties and made the solo trip. I'm an introvert, and I made a friend in line at Oga's. That was great for me too. Like I always want to, when I finally got to do the Han seat on the Falcon ride, it was it was because I didn't ever want to take anybody else's joy, and I figured everybody wants the Han seat, right? And there's this couple who was getting on with myself and Sarah's parents, and there was a kind of like, who's going to be who? And I was like, do you want a pilot? He's like, and they and the guy was very nice. He's like, we don't understand where we are, what's going on. Please don't make me pilot, and please tell me where to sit. I think it was like they were like real Star Wars light fans. Like, what do you? We don't know any of this. We're frightened and confused. And I was like, okay, if you're cool with it, I'm gonna be pilot, and you explain to them who wants to be the gunner, and I think the woman wanted to be the gunner, and he's like, great, I want the lowest stakes possible. Great. It was a really positive interaction, social interaction.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's great. My friend and his wife had already been, and they were taking us and Grace and I. They're like, no, you guys are sitting here, and then I had Grace sit in the pilot seat and got to live out my dream of being Chewie. Which is a win.
Yeah.
Stella Von Bako has this question here, and I've never thought about it till this moment. Whatever happened to Anakin's 2 legs and arm that were sliced by Obi-Wan and Mustafar? Think Palps took them to use them as cloning shenanigans? You know what? Now I think so. I think so.
That was one of the other questions we didn't get to. Is like, is there any possibility Anakin's limbs are in any of those chambers that we saw in Bad Batch?
It makes some weird sense to me. Like the Palpatine would be like, take him back, grab those. I might be able to make a stew out of those. it's just a Sith Lord getting a stew on. There's some he takes all angles to try to build his power.
2 legs, 1 arm, baby. You've got yourself a stew.
And Jadis is just going, yeah. Simaloo going, man, we got stew. It's stew for dinner.
You got a Sith stew going. My God. I mean, it is absolutely just a robot chicken moment that I want to believe that is true, and I never want to never want to see it, them taking Anakin to the shuttle and going, wait, go back for the limbs. I never want to see that moment, but
go back to the limbs. Yeah. Jared points out that the arms and limbs probably fell into the lava. Maybe. Yeah. But I still think there's whatever was left, Palpatine's going to take.
Yeah. And I'm sure Palpatine was like, they're still good. They're still good.
Because still good. Let's say, even if he just gets an arm, right? Let's say, everything else is in the lava, and he gets one extremity. I think Palpatine is such a beep. Like, he would put that on display in his private chambers. Call in Vader. Could you come to my office for a meeting? And then be like, open the door and be like, that used to be you, but I control you now. Like, that used to be you. But you, without me, you'd be dead. I saved you. And I think he lords it over him.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. Andrew McNabb says Maz Kanata probably has him in that chest. A story for another time, indeed.
A recipe for another time, says Maz Kanata.
Yeah, and he had Luke's hand in a tank on Exegol, right? That's comics have filled that out.
He tanks limbs, yeah, absolutely.
He tanks limbs.
Oh my God.
Well, a few more minutes left at the stream. If you got any super chats you want to get in, any silly questions, serious questions, let's do it. This has been fun. This has been a fun end to a busy and at times tough day for me. So thank you all for saying.
Yeah, no, it is a long one, a long week. We got one other question here. Ken, I don't know if you saw this. This comes to us from Julian Mushkin. And Julian says, what do we think about Angela Bassett as a possible Ray Sloan? I think there was a report from, I honestly, it popped up on Facebook and I didn't really look at the veracity of where it's being reported. There was a report that Angela Bassett was meeting with Lucasfilm. Thoughts turn to Ray Sloan.
Yeah, someone posted it in our ForceCenter Discord. We have a rumor responsibly section, and they posted in there. And I don't know the source, and sometimes you got to be careful of those websites and who they're working with and all that good stuff. That aside, I'm intrigued with it, and there was some question of the age of the actor versus age of the character. It lines up enough that I think not a concern for me. And I just think the excitement is Ray Sloan is a character that we need to see. We need to get some answers on. We need to spend some time with. There's a lot to learn from her perspective. And one of the early new canon characters that really stood out for a lot of people. So I think her, Afra, Seda Staros, those kind of characters that kind of popped up in 2014, 2015 range, they're still near and dear to a lot of folks. And she's one that I love a lot.
I think since Filoni is really guiding that era of the formation of the First Order out of the ashes of the Empire, and we've got a couple roads leading towards it, with following more of Palpatine and Project Necromancer, following Thrawn. It does feel like we will eventually get to her, and it feels like the kind of character that wouldn't be ignored.
Yeah.
So I have high hopes. Yeah. Angela Bassett is phenomenal. The role that I would like for Angela Bassett in Star Wars is anything substantive. Right. That's that's what I want, is substantive, not walk on. Sink her teeth into.
Yeah, not even something like this isn't a negative, but like sometimes we got a lot of great performers with great one episode roles in like Mandalorian or something like that, and I love those. No problem with that. But like, yeah, I know what you mean. Of just like she's there as a character that can come back time and time again.
The wordplay is out of control in the chat.
I know. I've been seeing this.
Talking about limbs and tanks, and David McKay came up with tanks for dismemberies.
We got Amaranth suggesting Brian Ward's next shirt for us: tanks for the limbs.
For the limbs.
There you go.
Perfect.
And as my buddy Mike Fink says, times like this we learn to tech again. Yes indeed. Yes indeed.
Yep.
One of the questions, is it in the? I think I started in the other one, but I was gonna try to maybe nail it down a little bit, but it was the question, and we addressed it a little bit, but the question of that mysterious character that's shown up in Bad Batch, and I jokingly refer to it as Tech 2.0. I'm not sold on it being tech. It could just be an assassin. It could just be a new character. It could be the dude from Ahsoka that got sliced in two and is nothing but hot air. It could be all that, Marek. But it's an intriguing thing. It's something. So
this is, I think sometimes as fans we can do the like, is that potato in the teaser Boba Fett's ship kind of thing. This is not that, right? It's so that shot lingered on him or them or whoever that character is to ask. I'm not, for me, I'm not I don't want to get caught up in the what known character might he be. Because I feel like we've gone through that a couple times. Hey, most recently with, say, Marek. And I'm much more interested in how does he fit with the clone story? Because the majority of clones we've met now have awakened to the fact that they're being thrown away by the Empire, because they've literally been thrown away and they're being tortured, so hard to ignore. But the clone commandos are still up for grabs. If this assassin is a clone, how do they fall into the story of Bad Batch being about, especially Echo's perspective of, basically no clone left behind. How does this character factor into that? I think is probably gonna who knows? Maybe we'll be surprised at it. Maybe it will be like we made Boba Fett 2.0, and it's it's Boba Fett. Jango wanted an unaltered clone exactly of him, and we thought we'll take one of those for ourselves. So it could be something like that, but
it could be. Yeah, Matty Gunner saying, isn't he just another one of the clones that Rampart hired last season? He's in similar armor, similar to the assassin character from the Clone Conspiracy episode, which are solid episodes. It was a clone that knew Rex, but it could be. I think the reason I say I'm not sold on Tech 2.0, I like the idea, and it's your painful idea of Tech is back, but not Tech, and it's not just simply a clone. It's something else that's it's got a lot of why behind it that I think could be powerful to the story. But I never want to lock myself into it, and I just people are saying, could you do that in 5 months and everything? Yeah, who knows what's going on Mount Tantus? You can do anything if you want. But it's definitely intriguing, and I like that. A little intrigue and a mysterious character is an okay thing.
Yeah, I'm very excited. This one came in from Anakin Crespin. Hey, Anakin. It says, did somebody already ask if you think Daniel Logan was already in studio to record lines for Boba Fett? It was so great. We didn't talk about it much on our discussion, but it's great to hear Daniel Logan voicing
one of them,
young clone. I hope so.
I hope so. Yeah. Again, same thing with trying to take the story as it shows up for us, but it's not like Boba Fett wouldn't be just a casual thrown in reference. It's pretty important to the story.
Well,
if the mega factor.
Yeah, he has emotional reason to be in the story. But now that we've got our start in season 3, and I know there are a lot of people out there with screeners, so there maybe some people are like, yes, we know everything. But with basically Hemlock saying, I'm going to spend all the money in the world to get her back, Boba Fett is currently trying to prove himself as a hunter, which gives him every reason to encounter his sister, be appealed to, and not listen to that appeal.
Yeah.
And put on the armor emotionally and physically.
Yeah. Yep. And that would work for me. And I've seen some people question, well, by the time we meet up with Boba Fett in Book of Boba Fett, he's bemoaning not having a family, and he doesn't mention her name, obviously, but that could be part of it. With the development timeline, I'm not expecting everything to be super connected down to the names and the beats and all that stuff, but the spirit is there.
But I think that line makes me want to see it even more, because I think that there's every world where he said no, that he was offered it. He was offered what he had with the Tuskens, and he said no to it.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yep.
I got a question here from Nate's Snaps. Any idea on the next book you two are reading? Mine is to finish my book about the history of comedy and cancel culture, which is a fascinating read about the culture wars always being present and what it truly means. It's fascinating. But I'm guessing, Joseph, he means in terms of Star Wars.
I think so, too. I'm going to finish my Doctor Who novelization and then read The Great Gatsby. And then try to get back to the High Republic, because I really am enjoying catching up on High Republic. I think I think we might review or discuss a Star Wars book again. We would love to do that. The honest truth is, it is one of the most time-consuming things we do, and the episodes are among the least listened to. That's just, sorry to be really brutally honest, but it's true. We love doing them, and they take a ton of time, and it's hard for us to keep up with in our personal lives. And then on the side of, like, we're really trying to make all of this work, it's hard to put all that work in. And know the people who listen to the book discussions love them, but they're our lowest episodes by a fair margin. Is that too much whiskey honesty, Ken?
No. We talked about it before. Like we've said before, we've been honest. This is our job, or part of our jobs, and there's a lot of other things we're doing, and at some point you have to look at it in that reality. It's not even a close number. The drop off is huge, but I love reading them. So I think I started reading Rise of the Red Blade and was really enjoying it, and I just kind of got pulled off a little bit on some other things. I want to finish that, and you and I were discussing we're going to get a hold of that Kira book, the E.K. Johnston Kira book, and that's probably next on the list to at least review. And I'll say this. I stopped High Republic after Phase 1 by complete accident, just didn't mean to, and just got so behind and buried. And I was watching Alex and Molly talk about Phase 3 is about to begin or has begun, and I was downright jealous. I missed the High Republic folks, and I was really jealous of Alex and Molly that they're still hanging out with those friends, and I'm at a different Chili's.
Yeah, and the announcement of the title of the next one in Phase 3 was got me so pumped, and I gotta catch up, and I really want to catch up for myself, because I really love the High Republic story. And the Kira book was on discount, and I picked it up for both Ken and I, because even if we don't get around to reading it, we both love Kira, and I know we'll both want to read that book eventually.
Yep. Absolutely love that there. Yeah, but we want to really highlight the people that love them, love the books, and love our episodes about the books. We feel you on it there, and we're not saying no. It's just we're always evaluating what we put into and what we get back.
So some of the most fun to do. I really loved discussing Shadows of the Sith, and we came up with that David Bowie song to describe the end of the book of what Luke is doing is fighting serpents on a diamond moon.
And I'll tell you, and that led to the Moon Agers, because Brian
Really?
Tiller wrote a little bit of a parody, just recorded it on like his laptop of a parody song of that, and he asked me, because, hey, can I post it in the Discord? And that's when I was like, oh, you do music, and that led to me daring him to send me some music to write a song. So I owe a lot to that book and that episode.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah. So extremely would love to spend more time with the books.
Yeah, indeed. Dr. Wargod returns and says, thank you so much for the advice. I related so much to what you guys are talking about. No, we appreciate that.
Great.
Love that. Thank you. Thank you for asking.
Extremely happy to help. Yeah.
And thank you for the super chat. And thank you for asking such a wonderful question.
Mm-hmm.
That we love there. All right, there we go. Anything else? Lauren Romo's here. I tell you what, Lauren Romo just joined. I bet she was playing Gaga on Fortnite. I know you, Romo.
Any other last minute questions? Get them in, because we're gonna wrap up here, I think.
Yeah. It's always that time where I've had too much to drink, chihuahuas are barking, and I'm starving. That's the trifecta of it's time to go.
And I simply have to urinate, which I could leave you alone for a minute if I had to.
If we need to, but there you go. Yeah, there you go. I knew it, Robo. I just got her. I knew it. I got a text from Robo today. She hasn't been playing Fortnite as much. She goes, Lady Gaga's at Fortnite? I was like, get back in there. You fire up that game.
That is great.
Love it. All right. I think I can't see any more pop up right away. So if we miss them, we apologize.
Yep. So thank you all so much. Ken, is there anything we need to plug while the Chihuahuas and the bladders hold out?
No, thanks for doing this. We, of course, pick up next week with our review of the 4th episode of Bad Batch. More episodes, Subjective Wars. Don't forget 007 Center is available on Patreon. I'm really proud of that first discussion. I think it goes beyond the movies. It goes into some of the things we were talking about today socially. So check that out. Patreon.com/ForceCenter for all that. And links below about some of our personal stuff. Excited to go see the short film, but hey, do me a favor. This band thing I've done, music's subjective, that I get, but put a lot of work and energy into it. And if you want to check out the Moon Agers, go to our Bandcamp page and get some 90s infused rock.
Yeah. And the thing that I would love to pitch is checking out my blog. The social media world being very shattered makes it hard to stay connected to people. When I went to the Doctor Who convention last weekend, I asked like 4 people, like, where are you on social media now? I miss you, because I can't find where you are. So part of the reason that I've started this newsletter is to just to try to stay a little bit better connected. I want to talk about my own creative adventures, but I want to inspire, if I can, and help other people, encourage people to make many goals and work at them and feel like you're not alone and having a hard time to make time for creative pursuits, but that it can be done a little bit at a time. My blog is called Finish Your Monsters. It comes out every Tuesday. So I think if you Google the Joseph Scrimshaw Finish Your Monsters, it will pop up. Thank you to all the kind ForceCenter people who have joined me there already.
Love it. So that's it. Don't forget, go to our YouTube page. You're probably there right now. When this stream ends, if you haven't, go watch Jennifer Landa's first episode of the Jedi Beat reworked edition, the video version, and her look at the Mos Eisley Cantina. It's wonderful. Check it out there and tell your friends about it. That's it. We'll see you next time here on ForceCenter. Bye.
Bye.